right, everybody, we are back at the table, which means we are baking today. I'm very excited about this recipe. It is, as you can see from the title, sweet potato bread. I was kind of looking for interesting things to do with sweet potatoes because they're really good for you and we kind of buy them all the time, but it gets a little bit boring just eating them, you know, like as a side. If you do that all the time, it gets old. So, I've already cooked my sweet potatoes because that is the key here. You have to cook it first and you have to like puree it. Well, I guess I shouldn't put that in air quotes. They say to puree it, but I'm just gonna use a fork. We're not gonna go crazy here. So I already, like I said, I already cooked my sweet potatoes in the pressure cooker, which I have a video on that, by the way. If you don't know how to do that, I will link that video in the comments section, but we just finished cooking these. They're actually still warm, so I'm a little nervous. I hope they don't cook my eggs. Well, I'm touching them and they don't seem that hot, so, well, I don't know. But to get started, we're gonna start. For the first step, we're gonna make our sweet potato puree. So I've got my cooked sweet potatoes. I'm gonna just mash them up in my mixing bowl over here. All right, so I've got my fork, I've got my potatoes. Now we don't want the skins, so I'm gonna just try to peel them off. They actually come off pretty easily. I'm just gonna peel the skins and transfer them all into the mixing bowl. All right, my hands are pretty sticky now from that. I forgot to mention, by the way, they say to use a cup of sweet potato puree, so I got a measuring cup out for reference. I'm not really gonna measure this precisely because what the hell am I gonna do with random chunks of leftover sweet potato, right? So I think we'll probably have a little bit more. I don't know if this is helpful for you, but I think that we'll end up with slightly more than a cup. I'm sure it's fine. It's fine for me. If you guys wanna be precise, then do that, but I don't. I think it's annoying when a recipe calls for like a specific amount of something that you can't buy in that quantity, like a potato, or, you know, if it's like a recipe for a pound of meat and you can't get exactly a pound. Sometimes I don't do exactly what the recipe says. I'm actually curious how much we ended up with. So let's see what this comes out to. I guess if you really pack it in there, it is about a cup, maybe a cup and a half. We're gonna use it all. But I'm gonna give these a couple minutes to cool down and then we will add our wet ingredients. All right, guys, I'm back. So I gave these some time to cool down. I actually did something that I thought was smart. Maybe it's kind of dumb. I rubbed the outside of the bowl with like ice cubes to try to like bring the temperature down a little bit more quickly. So anyway, I also took advantage of the time that I spent waiting for these to cool and I chopped up our nuts in my mini food processor. I also heated up the coconut oil because we want this melted for the recipe. So that's why I turned the oven on, because we don't want this to solidify again. So we got to move quickly now. So we're gonna mix up our sweet potato puree, eggs, which we have 3 of, so let's crack those now. Oops. And of course I got a shell because it wouldn't be my channel if we didn't. All right, so that's gonna go in. If you're wondering why this looks disgusting, it's because I used the same fork to just stir up like the couple of solid clumps of coconut oil that were left after I microwaved it. So anyway, in this goes. So I am skipping, they have coconut sugar in this recipe, which sounds ridiculous to me. I don't even know what that is. I guess you could use regular sugar. I don't want to have more sugar, so we're skipping that part. So next we want to add liquid sweetener, I guess. They say agave, but they say you could also use honey or maple syrup. So we are going with honey because it's cheaper. So we want 2 tablespoons of that. And we want some vanilla extract. And it says to whisk this together. I think I might mix it with a fork before I use the whisk, but I did take out a whisk. So anyway, I want to beat these eggs. Oh no, my coconut oil is starting to solidify. See, I told you guys, you got to move fast. I'm not good at moving fast, evidently. All right, moving on to the next step. Basically, we're adding everything right now except for the nuts. So first thing we want to add in is our flour. Now, I do want to mention this recipe calls for some really hipster kinds of flours. I don't buy those flours. They probably cost a fortune. We're just going to use whole wheat flour. If you want to use regular flour, it's probably going to taste even better. But I am trying to make this somewhat healthy, and we already had whole wheat flour in the house. So that's why I'm using this. Use whatever flour you want. I don't feel like you need to go out and buy these crazy flours. So we want 1.5 cups. And the oven is ready. Next, we want to wipe my hands because I'm dirty. Baking soda. Baking soda. All right, now we want some baking powder. All right, then they say some cinnamon, which we like. They say to do 2 teaspoons, but you can do more if desired. Now, I don't trust myself to make that kind of judgment call, so we're just gonna do 2 teaspoons. Just wiping my measuring spoon in between. Then we want some ginger, ground ginger, I think. Wait, do they say? They don't say. We're gonna assume it's ground. Fresh would probably be weird. Guys, look at my nutmeg. We dropped this and broke the lid like years ago. We don't use it a whole lot. Oh my God, this is dusty. We have got to buy new nutmeg. Nutmeg, allspice. Surprisingly difficult to measure. All right, and look guys, I finally got some salt to bake with. If you've been watching my videos, you know I've been using coarse salt and everything, which is really not ideal. So we finally got our shit together over here. But the question is, will I accidentally spill too much salt in here? All right, salt. Now we want to whisk this all together until combined. So without making too much of a mess, we're going to try to do this as quickly as possible. Oh, that's fun. This is why I love using a whisk. Fuck this, I'm using a fork. Okay guys, I am back. We have mixed up our dough. It smells pretty good. If you can see, we're getting some clumps of coconut oil because I suck, but hopefully you're better at this and you don't get that result. So we want to now pour our dough into our parchment paper lined baking tray. You probably don't need to use parchment paper, but this has Teflon, which is made of horrible, terrible things that I don't want in my food. So I always use parchment paper. Anyway, we're gonna pour our batter into our thing. And no, obviously I am not going to throw this in the oven with these plastic clips. And by the way, in case anyone was wondering, this was much easier to mix up with a fork than it was with a whisk. So if you don't have whisks in the house, don't even feel like you need to buy them. And don't worry, I did not forget about the nuts. I thought we were gonna be stirring them in, but we're not. They're just a topper. All right, guys, so I just spread this out as much as I could. It's a little tricky with the parchment paper, but this is what we got. So now we want to top with our chopped nuts, and then we want to bake for 40 minutes. So just gonna try to sprinkle that on as evenly as I can. I am so happy that I didn't have to chop these by hand because I suck with a kitchen knife. All right, and then we're gonna bake this. Did I already say that? I don't know. We're gonna bake this for 40 minutes. So I will see you when we take this out of the oven. Okay, now I'm recording. Okay, so we just pulled this out of the oven. Please excuse the terrible lighting. We are doing a fork test. That's not done at all. This was supposed to be fully cooked by now, and as you can see, it is fucking raw. So I'm gonna have to consult the recipe and stick this back in the oven. So I will see you guys after that. All right, well, I'm an idiot because it never said to do a fork test. I thought it did, but I must be thinking of a different recipe. So anyway, it says, until the top is set, and it bounces back when you press on it. So, let's see. Well, it's not fucking bouncing back either. I think my oven might not be hot enough. I'm gonna throw this in for, I don't know, another 5 minutes. I'm gonna raise the temperature by 10 degrees, and then we'll do that bouncy test again. All right, so I lied. I gave this 7 minutes instead of 5, but let's do that little test. Is it bouncing back? Would you say that's bouncing back? It's kind of bouncing back. That feels mushy to me. All right, I've decided I'm gonna give this 3 more minutes in the oven. I don't think that'll hurt it, just to make sure that everything is nice and cooked. All right, you guys, it's hot, I'm hot. I'm saying this bread is done. Right, so I'm gonna let this have 10 minutes to cool, and then we're gonna slice into it with Billy. I got a bread knife, because this is bread, and I got Billy, so we can taste it. Now, I took out some nut butter. Okay. In case you want. I don't know if you do. So, oh, I did use whole wheat flour, so don't expect it to be too much fun. Now, would you like the end or the inside? Inside. Is that good? Yeah. Kind of smells like cake. I know, and I only used honey as sweetener. The recipe called for honey. Oh, hang on. A little tricky. I'm not usually the person that cuts cake at parties. So. Looks like meatloaf. Oh, don't say that. It looks like pumpkin bread. Comment below if it looks like meatloaf. No, it doesn't look like meatloaf. It smells good also. Not that meatloaf doesn't smell good, but it doesn't smell or I'm sure it doesn't taste like meatloaf. I hope not, unless you're making really weird meatloaf. All right, I feel like I should take the end so that the viewers can get perspective on all parts of the bread. Now, I don't know why the recipe had me put the nuts on the top. I guess I should have pressed them in because they're just falling off. Kind of smells like that bread you were just gonna say you don't like? That Irish bread or whatever? Damn it, come on! This was nothing like the Irish soda bread. That didn't work well at all. It kind of just tastes like bread. Not a big fan of just like peanut butter on bread. Ooh, it's got a nice aftertaste. And despite what my co-host might say, I thought the nut butter would be nice. It's kind of like a nice little afternoon snack, and it adds some protein. But I don't hate this at all. I actually like it, and I wish there was more. I'm a fan, guys. If I had put the sugar, by the way, this would be really good. It would be like a cake. I like it with butter. But I wasn't trying to make cake. I guess it'll be interesting to see if it like, after it cools down completely, if it's like hard, if you can toast it. I don't think it's gonna be hard. How would you eat this? Like this? Well, so it's nice and warm right now, so I like it plain. mean?
Yeah.
When it's not warm, I would probably warm it in the toaster oven. And just knowing my habits, I'm probably gonna want this during the workday when I'm busy. So
snack.
I'll probably slather some nut butter on it. I've been really into this peanut butter lately because I haven't had peanut butter in like a couple years. We've been buying a lot of like almond butter, and there's like this seed and nut butter they sell at Costco that we also buy. So I haven't had peanut butter in a while, and lately, since I opened this, I've been really enjoying it. So I would put that on this probably. But right now, being fresh out of the oven, I like it how it is.
Yeah, the nuts seem a little weird to me on bread. I don't know if I've ever had nuts on bread.
It's supposed to be like, hey.
This is like a good side with some type of dinner. It's like hearty, but not. Even though it's whole wheat, it doesn't have that weird like whole wheat.
I forgot
taste.
it is whole wheat. You don't really, yeah, exactly. You don't really taste it. So I like this a lot. I actually might make this more often because, like I said, we buy a lot of sweet potatoes and I get bored just eating them the same way all the time. If you're wondering what I did with the skins, by the way, I ate them. It seemed like a waste to throw them out. There's a fly in here that we're gonna have to hunt down later. As far as rating, like, I really like this, but I feel like if I give it an A, then there's no room for improvement. So I guess I have to give it a B+. But it came out really good. I really like it. I don't know. Maybe an A-. I'm giving it an A-. What would you give it?
B, I guess. I mean, I don't think I'm gonna make a sandwich with this, really.
That would be weird.
Yeah. It's decent, but it has limited use. Like, you're really just gonna eat it like this, or with butter or peanut butter or something on it. But it's good.
If you've made it this far, leave me a comment with the sweet potato emoji. And thank you so much for watching. If you want to give me a thumbs up, that'd be really cool too. And if you want to subscribe and hit the bell, that helps the channel a lot, and we appreciate viewers like you. So, like, subscribe, leave me a comment, share this video, and come back for the next one.